in Venezuela. That's according to U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton during CNN's State of the Union on March 3rd. Meanwhile, U.S. proclaimed Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido is to return to the country on March 4th to lead protests against President Nicolas Maduro's government. In returning, he's risking arrest as he was prohibited from leaving the country by the Venezuelan Supreme Court. During his travels abroad, he visited Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Ecuador, and thanked all of them for their support. He has also once more called on the Venezuelan military, claiming that many have defected, but saying it's necessary for all of them to join the opposition's side because the chain of command is broken. Minpress News reports that he also alleged that armed groups are gunning down unarmed villages simply for demanding humanitarian aid. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on March 4th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
According to a new report, the vast majority of Americans simply want to be safe, happy, rich, comfortable, entertained, thin, and romantically fulfilled. The Onion spoke to a few of the survey's respondents who also claimed they want to be healthy, fulfilled, and successful and energized at all times.
All I want is a low-stress job, a nice house, affordable health care, and low gas prices, you know? It'd be nice to have a 35-hour work week, delicious food that's actually good for me, strong friendships, and free high-speed Wi-Fi wherever I go.
I think I'm entitled to wealth, love, cheap education, a fair legal process.
According to the survey, 63% of all Americans want their summers to be hot but not too hot. 85% want the government to stop all wars, end world hunger, and make quick and easy weight loss possible. 93% want to be emotionally satisfied, plus a soulmate, unconditional love from their parents, and a big happy dog.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you are listening to the live Monday edition. It's Mark with you,
Melanie,
and Mike.
Mike, you got to get on that mic, please. Thank you so much.
Apologies.
No problem. It's like not. It's so comfortable in here that you don't even think about the microphone. Indeed, you're welcome to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. This live edition. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Melanie, you had show prep that I had, which is something that always makes me say, well, let's go to that one first, because if two of us agree that it's something we should be talking about, that it's likely something we should be talking about. Turns out that there's some news about this pay gap. I'm told that women make 73 cents on the dollar to what men make, and that I should be outraged by this.
Well, yeah, and that's true if you just take the average salaries of all men and compare them to the average salaries of all women.
Are you telling me somebody's lying with statistics?
I mean, you know.
That happens. That happens.
I saw a study a couple of months ago where they had redone all the figures and actually done like work to like work comparisons, and they came down to like 96 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, much closer.
Yeah.
Right. Time magazine came out, I think it's been more than 5 years now, and said, yeah, the pay gap is nonsense. It still gets drug up and drug up and drug up. At this point, I don't know which wave we're on at this point. The 37th wave feminists have really very little to complain about, but they've got plenty of complaining that still gets done.
Yeah, so, and I mean, we've known this for a long time, and I think common sense kind of dictates it in that if women are cheaper for the same quality work, then why would I, as a business, ever hire a man for any reason whatsoever?
Right. It's kind of like if Hyundai produces a car that's as good as a Honda Accord for $3,000 less, a whole lot of people, and I don't know Hyundai and Hondas. I don't have any. I'm just using some brands here. If $3,000 less, then a lot of people are going to start buying Hyundais.
Well, I could say the misogynistic pig answer would be, are women really worth what they're getting paid, though?
I don't know. I mean, the market should determine that.
They might not be, because if I employ more than 50 people, I have to really, really worry about whether or not women are going to sue me for not getting paid enough.
There's certainly countries where you have to have quotas and all these sorts of things, a certain amount of people doing different types of jobs, and it gets very confusing and upsetting.
What countries?
Iceland recently saw that they have to the road crew, the companies that do road crews were paying the guys who are out doing running shovels and doing these sorts of things more than the women in the office, and the women were upset about it. And well, they won. Stupid. So there you go.
Yeah, they probably did.
So what's the story?
So in the only reason I find this significant at all is because it's out of Harvard, and Harvard is not exactly the most right-wing publication in the country.
No, it's not.
And then the Mises Institute reposted it, but it's a study from Harvard. They didn't do the study.
Okay, what is the study?
So it's called "Why Do Women Earn Less Than Men? Evidence from Bus and Train Operators," and they went and normalized by pretty much every conceivable factor: hours worked, seniority.
Right, you should get paid
off.
more if you work more hours. So can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
I mean, can everybody in the world agree?
Well, I'm not going to agree with the way that was phrased, because that sounds a little bit too much like labor theory of value. But if you're doing the same work,
if you're being paid by the hour,
labor theory of value deals with the value of what you're producing compared to the work put into it. That is, labor theory of value. But if you're working longer hours and you should be getting paid
as this in the same job,
if you're doing the same job with the same efficiency level, you should be getting paid the same if you're working longer hours.
Yeah, person A and person B. Person A working at the same job as person B works at. Person A works twice as many hours as person B. Person A should make more money
as long as they're equally productive.
Right, and within their realm. I mean, person A could really stink at what they do and end up working longer, but hopefully the boss begins to see the difference.
Right. There's plenty of jobs that people work at where it's not based on hours but on piecework.
Sure.
So in that case, your productivity determines exactly what you're.
Sure, right. One vegetable picker in the field who manages to get 5 bushels done in a day versus a vegetable worker that gets 3 bushels done in a day. Obviously, if you're paying by the bushel, it makes sense that you want to pay. In all circumstances, you want to pay the person who gets the 5 bushels done better than the person who does the 3, unless you're trying to make somebody happy in some liberal bastion somewhere in the world.
Yeah, and if you're dealing with a job where there isn't a lot of equipment that the business owner has to be invested in, who cares if they're only doing 2 bushels a day? If they're happy earning that, then what the heck?
What difference does it make?
That might be a problem, because you might have output requirements that you have to meet, and only so many people fit in the field. So if the average person picks 25 and you're picking 2, maybe that's a problem.
Right. But a reverse situation would be like an industrial situation. For example, Sturm Ruger up in Newport, New Hampshire, does a lot of piecework pay on production facilities for people polishing guns, things like that. And there's only so many workstations. Right. So if you're in a workstation, there's going to be a minimum acceptable productivity they're going to allow, even if they're paying on piecework.
Right, because the workstation itself costs a lot of money.
That's right.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so then when you normalize for those things, then, and I don't know if you want me to read this whole article or not, but if you normalize for that, women make the same. Which is,
or near the same, right?
We make slightly more than in some. Women who are truly single make actually more than men. They only looked at 2 industries here, and so it's
in these 2 industries they looked at, which are transportation.
Bus and train no, that's one. Bus and train operators. They're operators. Yeah. Okay. So one industry. Sorry.
So single women made as much as single.
No, in this study, women made the same. In the entire U.S. economy, truly single women, so you're not married, you've never been married, and you don't have kids, make more than men.
Than men generally?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say that probably part of that has to do with the flexibility as far as work schedules and stuff like that.
And they build up seniority where, and because they want to keep that average up, they tend to pay particularly women who are starting new jobs better than men starting new jobs because they want to keep that average up. And it turns out that where the imbalance comes down to is women who then take time off for parenting and that sort of thing, that they lose the seniority, and that's really where a bulk of that disparity comes from. And when you adjust for that, then the whole imbalance disappears almost entirely.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are worried about the fairness and the balance, and I suppose that's a good thing. But when you start looking at this, there's not a lot of imbalance, and if there was imbalance, the marketplace should theoretically, according to the libertarians at least, right, and the economists, the marketplace should fix for this. It shouldn't be that somebody who's equally as productive, works just as many hours or whatever, is getting paid significantly less than somebody else, because then the market would be demanding this lower cost, equally as competent individual.
I just find it really, really unlikely that every single employer in the United States has the same bias and is willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
That just seems unlikely to the point of impossible.
Well, a lot of them wind up adjusting their pay rates because they have to comply with state or federal equal employment opportunity regulations.
Right, but that would cause women to make more, not less.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just all about filling out the paperwork and making the bureaucrats happy. I mean, and the messaging, right? Like, you want your PR company to say, we pay people exactly the same because we don't see color or gender, or sexual orientation, or lunacy or anything that we might determine pays you more or less. We don't see it.
But ageism is still legal.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely fine, and probably a good idea, frankly, in certain circumstances.
If you're under 40, it's legal.
But you can't, you
can't discriminate against people over the age of 40.
I see. Well, I mean,
you can, but it's illegal.
17-year-olds don't do as good a job as 30-year-olds. Free Talk Live.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block, and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy.
DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dynavite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies,
grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it,
and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dynavite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic
and Cindy Lukasevic,
inviting you and your pets to Dynavite.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses on the setup page, and then load the app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. AnyPay.global.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
No, I can understand the time cue, but what I know is wiser than anything else. Like God created one day, I've created 4 simultaneous days in one rotation of Earth.
At what point did you become the wisest human, Gene Ray?
Well, I've learned everything. When you know everything, there's nothing to know.
Okay, well, now, you said you're getting ready to write a book on it. When can we expect to see it?
No, I don't have a publisher yet. A lot of morning touch it, and so...
you touch it in the morning?
Well, sometimes, not much.
Yeah. How old are you, Dr. Gene Ray?
I'm 78. Well, I told this black lady down in St. Pete, I said, when you die, you're going to come back as a white person. And I said, I'm going to come back as a black person. I'm going to hate you honkies.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Monday edition. Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. We're talking about the wage gap. The gap in wages between men and women specifically, and there's some news on it, and we'll get back to that, but we do want to go to the phone calls here. We've got Tom calling in from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
That lady, yeah.
She was addressing some constituents a few days ago, and she made a statement, quote, I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country.
Okay.
The foreign country she's talking about is Israel, okay? And Congressman Eliot Engel, chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, lashed out at Omar's, quote, vile anti-Semitic slur.
Yeah, they love to say anything that's against AIPAC, anything that's against the nation of Israel is anti-Semitic. It's the go-to for anybody who doesn't want to have a conversation surrounding these sorts of things. I don't know this Omar person. I don't know about any pledge of allegiance to that might be had, but I do know that there's weak rhetoric that exists, and that weak rhetoric often uses the term, tries to paint somebody as a bigot.
I know a bit about this young woman. She's a Somali immigrant. She came to the U.S. as a refugee. She has a record of supporting radical anti-Western Muslim groups. For instance, there was a group of Somalis in Minnesota that were recruited to and were trying to travel to Syria to join ISIS.
Okay.
And they got arrested by the FBI.
Can't be a large group.
Well, I think it was like 4 or 6 of them.
All right.
And she tried to get the charges dropped, making excuses of, they didn't know what they were doing, da-da-da-da. She's, spoken for Hamas and other radical Islamic groups. So, she's not just making, a few idle comments. And I think that it's inaccurate, but demonstrating her bias in this is calling an alliance that the U.S. has with Israel, allegiance. I mean, they're two completely different things. You know, we have our allegiance to the United States of America, and the United States happens to be allied with Israel. We aren't allegiant to.
I'm against
Israel.
all foreign aid, and that includes the foreign aid that goes to Israel.
Entirely. I'd like to drop all foreign aid, but
however, I think it's worth pointing out that the supporters of that AIPAC manages to get a certain amount of foreign aid sent to Israel, but let's look at how many members of AIPAC there are and how much they pay in taxes too. So if they're getting a portion of their taxes sent off to Israel, then, well, they're only doing what other Americans do, which is lobby for their tax dollars to go in a certain direction. I don't support it. I'm just not stunned by it.
Right.
Go ahead,
now,
Tom.
The problem is that if they overplay the anti-Semite charge, then what is like the story about the boy who cried wolf, where, they're going to be trying to denounce some real anti-Semitism someday, and people are not going to be paying attention to it. But, yeah, I've been following this and also setting up a website here about some of this stuff where Congresswoman Omar says...
Well, before you go on, Tom, I mean, I don't know that I agree with your premise here. So people have been screaming bigot for decades, and it still works. I mean, everything. There's a reason the internet, has a meme that says that everything I dislike is Nazism, and everyone I dislike is Hitler, and because people do that, and they do it a lot.
Congresswoman Omar, this is not her first comment to be described as anti-Semitic as well. She's made a number of other statements, one since she was elected, where even her own party in Congress censured her for that, and she was forced to issue an apology and correction. So it's not like, it was kind of a loose comment. It's pretty clear from her record that she is an anti-Semite. So
not really, not necessarily. When she's denouncing the political power in this country that says that that the United States has to prop up the state of Israel, that is not anti-Semitism on her part. It is opposing the U.S. support for the state of Israel.
But she's denouncing AIPAC, which is a group of American citizens who happen to be Jewish.
They're not all Jewish. A lot of them are not Jewish, and a lot of the pro-Israel lobby is not Jewish people, and a lot of Jewish people want nothing to do with the pro-Israel lobby as well. But so it's not anti-Semitic; it's against a political movement. And when she made that after she made that apology you're talking about, Rolling Stone quoted her as saying, "My hope is that as much as I hold others accountable and help them learn, that people will also hold me accountable." And so I go on to say, at your service, Congresswoman Omar, here's some of the stuff that you support, and I'm holding you accountable for. You say you want to denounce hate crimes and everything. What about the underage drinking laws? You say you want to. You don't like being labeled as a terrorist. Well, do you want to legalize drugs, or what else can you call them but terrorists when they threw that flash grenade into the kid's playpen? I mean, I'm going off holding her accountable for pretty much the stuff that most of them are doing.
Well, I don't entirely disagree with you on that. I wouldn't expect the Muslim congresswoman from Minnesota to spend a lot of time on your alcohol legalization, thoughts. But nonetheless, I guess what my thought is surrounding the Israeli Palestinian problem is that I've looked into this and looked into it, and it's about how you look at the different stuff. Both sides have done bad things, and I feel like it's President Trump here. Basically, this is an intractable.
I'm sure they're nice people.
What's that? They're not nice people. This is an intractable dispute.
Whose fault it really was is during the Holocaust, the United States would not let all these Jewish people
You're right.
move to the United States, and that precipitated.
It wasn't the United States.
It was.
They did allow them in if they were nuclear physicists.
It was that was afterwards. It was FDR.
It was Einstein and
you're right at that time.
Yes, if they had the skills that could contribute to the military-industrial complex, they got in.
If FDR hadn't disliked Jews as much as he disliked them, I think that imagine how much different the world would be. How much better off the United States would be right now if the United States had welcomed in all of those Ashkenazi Jews from Germany and Poland and Russia and these places that were looking for a better place to go. These people who have an incredible amount of Nobel Prizes under their belts since then, and these sorts of things.
A lot of them did come here, I think.
A lot didn't, but a lot of them went to Israel.
Oh, sure.
Where all the problems are right now. You wouldn't have nearly the problems in the Middle East that you have currently. Thank you for the call, Tom. And you would have, I don't know, the United States claiming some really productive people. This is what hate gets you.
Yep.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Monday edition. It's Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
And you can go to clips.freetalklive.com. There we have short, easy to share YouTube clips, and we have recently started this back up, and I think they're great. By and large, you're getting the best ofs Free Talk Live, and people are going to really love them. The thing you can do for us, please go watch them, like them, share them, subscribe to them. This will be beneficial because, well, people get these messages and they'll get them in the form that they're looking for them on YouTube. Just go to clips.freetalklive.com. Jake, listening in New Hampshire on the listen line. Jake, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me okay?
I gotcha.
All right. Hey, this is, you know who this is. This is Jay Noon.
Yep.
And I wanted to just chime in a little bit about the women versus men. And in my experience, I believe in the past 2 decades at least, that women in general are definitely are superior to men when it comes to getting anything done and showing up to getting it done. When I was really heavily involved in the hay business and I had 6 people working for me. For
those who didn't hear him, he said hay.
Hay, yes. I had 5 or 6 people working for me. Most of the time, it was mostly farm girls that, were hanging around the barn since they were 10, 12 years old, and we just put them to work because their mothers would drop them off, and they would take a riding lesson, and then they would clean stalls, stack hay. They started driving trucks, and now some of them are driving triaxle dump trucks for paving companies. But I had mostly 80% of the workforce I had in my business was these girls, and one thing I can say is they never destroyed anything in the trucks. The guys, it was, blowing transmissions, breaking drive lines. They would, hey, how long's the brake been grinding on this truck? Oh, I don't know. And anytime there was a squeal or some kind of noise that sounded different, the girls would be calling me, hey, this truck's making a weird noise. But also the guys, a lot of them were had worked for trucking companies, and I didn't really train them. So my observation is a little biased because I had trained all the girls pretty much to do these jobs. But even the guys that I went to school with, and what happened to them is they went to college, so they got severely, brain numbed or something. The girls would just work circles around them, and I don't care if it was stacking hay or driving trucks or, training horses. And that's just my experience, and I always felt they were worth more. And with our society getting so dumbed down, whether it's through chemicals, vaccines, spraying stuff, social media, at least women, have this drive in them that they're going to have a baby someday, and they need to make themselves better because they're going to have to take care of another human at some point. That's embedded in their DNA. I think that's the reason that they are excelling nowadays, and pretty much most anything. I mean, unless you really need to be brutally strong for it. But even my Palmer Paving, where I grew up, the lady truck drivers, they would rather have women in the trucks because they don't tear the trucks up, for example.
Yeah. Look, I haven't done your business. Don't have the observations that you have. For me here on Free Talk Live, one of the things I like about a female co-host is that let's give the names here real quick. Mark.
Melanie?
And Mike.
You know that Melanie's not a man, right? Like, you might get Mark and Mike confused when you're listening on the radio, but you're not going to get Mark and Melanie or Mike and Melanie confused when you're listening on the radio. That's the biggest thing that I think of. I think that all business owners, everybody has their biases, and some of those biases may have to do with gender. I do have a bias when it comes to gender. My belief is that women are better at organizational tasks. But that's just my belief. I don't operate as though men can't be good at organizational tasks, just that I think that sort of a general statistical thing that, if you're going to have, organizational or secretarial work or managerial work or things like that, maybe a woman would be better at that task than a man. I don't know. But I think that a business owner should be free to have those biases. They should be able to be free to choose, based on their experience. Because if they can't make a decision based on their own experience, what are they free to do? If you can't make a decision based on what you know because of what you've been through in your life, you're not free to do something, even if you're wrong, right? Like, freedom is the ability to make bad decisions by somebody's standard out there. Now, the standards of what a bad decision are, that changes because society has the zeitgeist thing that it's always going on. So what might be a good decision in 1850 is a bad decision in 2050. That's just how these things go.
Those bad decisions are sometimes very, very valuable.
Well, at the very least, we get to see what a bad decision is, right?
And there's some jobs that women are better at. There's some jobs that men are better at. And there's some jobs where it just does not matter. And I mean, like I said before, or maybe I said it on the previous show, I think I said it a few minutes ago, women who are truly single do make more. And it might just be because they have nothing else to do, or they're going to be dedicated and they have nothing else to be dedicated to. But if you're calling off, every month and, being late because your kid's sick and taking extra vacation time, it's not unreasonable for you to expect to get paid less.
Thanks for the call, Jay. Appreciate it. There's a background noise here. I'm going to let you go. 855-450-3733.
But if you are actually working more and being more productive in that job, then you should expect to be paid more. And these sounded like they were younger women, so that would be in line with what we know about the stats.
Well, Jay does horses and hay. I know him because I lived with him at one point. And he, when the people that are most likely to be passionate about horses in this world tend to have two X chromosomes. Girls just like horses more than boys tend to like horses. So you're going to have somebody in his line of work that's passionate about it because you got to have hay to have horses. This is a way that I can work with horses. Obviously, somebody who loves something wants to work in close proximity to it. Hay and horses kind of just go together. So, these girls grow up.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, they learn a skill before they're even old enough, in most cases, for their contemporaries are learning a skill. And that's really valuable.
And I think the thing that gets conflated a lot when this is discussed and just in general is you can be doing something incredibly useful. That does not then therefore that this particular institution should pay you for it. So, yeah, it's not like women are just, I'm going to call up on Tuesday because you know what? Game of Thrones has a new episode or whatever. I don't know what their schedule actually is, but they're not just sitting around necessarily. Okay, yeah, so you're home taking care of your kid, or you have to have a set schedule because that's when daycare is. Okay, fine, you're doing something useful, but that has absolutely nothing to do with your employer for this unrelated thing. So that's something you need to take up with your husband or your baby daddy, whichever one of those you have. Your employer is paying you to work at that job. I mean, you could work 90 hours a week, but if you only work 20 hours at this one job, you're going to get paid for 20 hours, not 90 hours.
Yeah, oftentimes the complaint is that women work a great deal in the home. This is often called emotional labor, and I'm not saying it's fair, but if it's the patriarchy, it's certainly held up by, I don't know. As a young person, I was raised by largely my mother and my grandmother up till 6 years old. Then I went to a school where all not some, all of the elementary school teachers were female. So up until 12 years old, all of my authority figures, other than my father, were female. My father wasn't giving a lot of instruction on life at this point. The vast majority of my instruction on life was coming from women. If women have a particular problem with the amount of housework that's put upon them, maybe they should be talking to their sons. I'm just thinking that maybe they should be talking to other women. They certainly shouldn't be talking to me about it, because I have no control. I just do what Mrs. Edgington says. That's all. You ladies don't get to tell me. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Talk Live. It's a live Monday edition. Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Check us out at twitch.freetalklive.com. We've got some video there. It's twitch.freetalklive.com. You can see what's going on in the studio. You can see whatever he looks like. You can see Mike's new beard. He looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Twitch.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Bill calling in from Albuquerque. Bill, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how are you?
All's well. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just had a question for you. Do you think that Hispanics can carry luggage better than anybody else?
Do I think that Hispanics can carry luggage? No, I don't.
Okay, how about black people? Can they do a certain thing better or worse than anybody else?
The evidence is that they can play basketball better. The NBA is chock full of black people compared to whites and others.
Yeah. But, yeah, maybe.
All right.
So what you're saying about women, that they can organize better or they can do certain tasks better, is not true at all.
Okay.
Any man can be as organized or disorganized, do a woman's labor. Any woman can do a man's labor unless it's like super heavy.
Okay.
That doesn't follow. Different races have minor genetic differences. Men and women are different models.
Actually, the genetic difference between a man and a woman is like 10 times larger than the genetic difference between different races.
But what I'm saying is, when it comes to the average workplace, working at an insurance company or working at a car dealership or whatever, men and women should get paid identically the same amount of money. And it is the responsibility of the employer to do the research to make sure that they can do the job, not just assume that because they had an experience with their sister who couldn't file, that they can't hire a woman to file.
Okay, right, but the thing is that even within the same company, in the same position, I can have a full-time car salesman who works 10 hours of overtime every week, and I can have a part-time car salesman that works an average of 20 hours a week. Once you average in all the time they take off, that's why people are getting paid different. It's not because this person is just horrible at their job. They get fired.
That is not why. My daughter is an attorney. She gets paid $65,000 a year. Exactly the same person that graduated at the same time, a male, gets paid $80,000. Why?
Well, I don't know what their firms are that they're at, but the evidence, as done by journalistic organizations for the last decade, says that men and women get paid generally the same when you begin checking for things like marital status, number of kids, hours worked, where they work, what they do. I don't know what's going on between your daughter and the other attorney. Maybe he's working at a big firm, and your daughter's doing.
So if that's true what you're saying, why are we even talking about it? If it's so
because there's this idea that it's not true.
Yeah,
like it keeps getting said over and over again, and if you repeat a lie often enough, people believe it's true.
And trying to compare an anecdotal anecdotal situation like your daughter with overall averages across the population is not a
right.
proper way.
I mean, I make X per year. Laura Ingraham probably makes 10 times what I do. Why is that fair, Bill?
I mean, maybe your daughter's going to...
No, Bill's got to answer the damn question. Why is it fair that Laura Ingraham makes more money than me?
Because it's not fair. It's not. That's not the point.
Yeah, good.
She is famous and she brings a shitload of ratings.
Oh God! Why'd you have to say that word? You can't say that word on the radio. Jeez. Yes, Laura Ingraham gets better ratings. Laura Ingraham is paid more than me, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with it. I'm certainly not going to cry about her gender, right? And look, so Bill's idea is that it is simply not true what Harvard just did a study on.
Right.
And there's been numerous studies for the past.
And we don't know more details about his daughter's situation, where she went to college versus where this male went to college.
Maybe his daughter's getting screwed and she needs to go find a better job. That's entirely possible.
What were their respective grades? Which graduated with a higher GPA? The higher GPA is going to get you a higher salary in your starting.
It tends to happen.
So,
it certainly can happen. Yeah. And there's lots of different reasons. An anecdotal situation does not speak to the truth. Go ahead with the article. Have you finished it up here? That the Harvard University study says that men and women are paid the same as Time Magazine did about a decade ago, and they just keep saying this over and over again.
Yeah, and then there was one paragraph that I wanted to read that was a quote, and while this is loading, I'll just say every job I've ever had where I worked like a man, I got paid like a man. Women get paid like women because they work like women. Okay, so the researcher said, but the gap can be explained entirely by the fact that while having the same choices sets in the workplace, and this was a union, so that was structured, women and men make different choices. Women use the Family Medical Leave Act to take more unpaid time off than men, and they work fewer overtime hours at 1.5 times the wage rate. At the root of these different choices is the fact that women value time and flexibility more than men. Men and women choose to work similar hours for overtime when it is scheduled a quarter in advance, but men work nearly twice as many overtime hours than women when they are scheduled the day before. Using W-4 filings to ascertain marital status in the presence of dependents, we show that women with dependents, especially single women, value time away from work more than men with dependents. So the situation here is that men and women are making different choices. So you kind of have three options: pay everybody based on the work that they're producing. 2, pay men less than the work that they're producing, because if you pay women more than what they're producing, you're going to go out of business. Or 3, force women to make different decisions than what they want to make.
Two of those aren't going to make women very happy, and one of those is going to cost you your male employees. So the best bet is just, pay people what they're worth and go from there, and give them some choices. Let's go to Wolfgang calling here. I'm not sure where he's calling from. Wolfgang, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, speaking of repeating things that aren't true over and over again.
Yeah.
Those Catholic kids. You know how the most lefties are absolutely certain that those Catholic kids were racist because they wore those red hats.
Oh, the kids that had the manga hats on.
From Covington Catholic School.
Yeah. The Indian guy was standing there with the drum, and then we find out more, and then more and more. Yeah. Turns out the guy smiled at somebody.
Everybody, all those lefties know they were racist just because they were wearing those hats. Likewise, your co-host Mike is convinced that woman Omar, the congresswoman, because she's wearing that do-rag, we know she's an anti-Semite.
I don't care about her. I don't care about her headwear.
Couldn't produce any evidence of anything she's ever said that was anti-Semitic.
Well, didn't she apologize for one thing?
Yeah, she was.
And everybody knows, but no evidence of anything yet. Everybody knows. It's got to be the do-rag. That's my theory.
So you got a theory? That's it?
So if that's not why you would think something that she's never said anything anti-Semitic.
But she has.
Why else would you?
Like she apologized for saying something anti-Semitic, right?
Yeah, she apologized for not saying anything anti-Semitic. You can't point to anything that she said that was anti-Semitic. Yet everybody knows it. Even she has to apologize when...
All right, Wolfgang. Did you... excuse me. All right, Mike. So Wolfgang says you're anti-Semitic or something.
No, I want to... Yeah, I want to know why. Yeah, thank you.
Anti-Omar.
Well,
why do you think she's anti-Semitic since you can't produce any evidence that she is?
What do you mean? I haven't. We've mentioned the previous instance where she was making anti-Semitic comments, and her own party took her to task and censured her.
Yeah, but she didn't produce a comment.
So it's not like it was the opposite party that was forcing her to apologize for this. Her own party recognized her comments as anti-Semitic.
How is that evidence that she said anything anti-Semitic? Just because her party said it? Just like you're saying
no, because her comments were public. In a public speech, in public tweets.
Well, it's a little unfair to expect him to quote them off the top of his head. Right. I'm sure he's read them, Wolfgang.
He doesn't know anything. He has no evidence, yet he knows. And same thing with everybody else with it,
I don't know anything about the lady, but I do immediately suspect people based on their religion when this conversation between Israel and Palestine comes up, right? Like you can pretty much guess what people's opinion is based on the religion that they have.
You sound like the lefties talking about the Catholic kids. You know they're Catholic. They got red hats.
No, I'm telling you. Okay, Wolfgang, is it not true, Wolfgang, that you can generally expect somebody's opinion to be based on their religion in this particular conversation, right?
About whether they're anti-Semitic or
No,
not?
no, I didn't say the word anti-Semitic. I said What? Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE here on Free Talk Live.
Hello. I am looking for a special soul from the GCN audience to hire to come to East Ridge, Tennessee and take care of two peaceful, easygoing people, which are a sweet 95-year-old woman and her 60-year-old son. Terms would be free room and board, plus the use of all of our facilities here at home, in exchange for living with us and seeing to our needs. We must have someone that fits in well. We get along with most anybody and value those who like to do the same. We live in a suburb of the scenic city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Please email Matt at peaceaboveall.net for additional information. Please include your informal resume stating your strengths and weaknesses and reasons you would make a dedicated caregiver. We would also offer to negotiate a nominal salary in addition to everything else. Again, please email matt@peaceaboveall.net. Thanks for responding.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,288. Silver opened at $15.13. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,703. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a firestorm over comments critical of Israel by Representative Ilhan Omar continued to engulf the Democratic Party and American politics over the weekend. The anti-media reports that Omar, a Democrat from Minnesota, continues to stand firm in her assertion that criticism of the Israeli occupation does not constitute anti-Semitism. And the blowback she's received from Republicans and Democrats alike sheds light on the absence of questioning over Israel's special treatment in U.S. foreign policy. The controversy over Omar's criticism of Israel's influence on American politics began February 11th and has not yet let up. Omar endured renewed accusations of anti-Semitism on Friday for remarks made last Wednesday at a Washington bookstore. In an opinion piece for The Guardian in February, President of the National Iranian American Council, Trita Parsi, and historian Stephen Wertheim cautioned against playing into prejudice and racism, but noted that, quote, concern about lobbyist influence is legitimate and poised to intensify, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at myBraveBotanicals.com. And Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Beat for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Your news now continues. A disabled French man in a wheelchair who was participating in Saturday's Yellow Vest protest in Toulouse, France, proved the necessity of the protest after he was sprayed in the face at point-blank range with pepper spray. The entire disturbing scene was captured on video. The protests have not been short on violence, as police have been seen savagely beating single protesters, as well as protesters fighting police. According to the person who uploaded the video, the man in the wheelchair was interacting with police because they had taken his protective eyewear. The video shows the officer holding a set of goggles. The video also shows the man arguing with the officer, who appears not to want to give him back his goggles. As the man in the wheelchair followed the officer, who could have simply stepped up on the curb according to the Free Thought Project, pulled out his riot control pepper spray and doused the man in the face. The United States wants to form as broad a coalition as possible to ramp up regime change efforts in Venezuela. That's according to U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton during CNN's State of the Union on March 3rd. Meanwhile, U.S. proclaimed Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido is to return to the country on March 4th to lead protests against President Nicolas Maduro's government. In returning, he's risking arrest as he was prohibited from leaving the country by the Venezuelan Supreme Court. During his travels abroad, he visited Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Ecuador, and thanked all of them for their support. He has also once more called on the Venezuelan military, claiming that many have defected, but saying it's necessary for all of them to join the opposition's side because the chain of command is broken. Minpress News reports that he also alleged that armed groups are gunning down unarmed villages simply for demanding humanitarian aid. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on March 4th, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
If you're one of the many frustrated singles who suffer from online dating fatigue, you might just be in luck. A new dating website launched this week that caters to fed-up men and women who simply want to meet eligible singles with unbroken skin or open sores similar to their own. It's called Last Shot.
If you're one of those people who's just ready to throw your hands up in the air and start a life with someone who has unbroken lesion-free skin, or on the other hand, if you're open to someone who has boils and abscesses similar to your own, Last Shot is perfectly calibrated to your needs.
Boasting a user-friendly interface and affordable dues of $4.99 a month, Last Shot simply asks users to log in, then click yes or no if they have open sores. Within moments, they're connected with hundreds of eligible singles who have comparable skin conditions. Reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. Arcuri hopes to one day introduce an upgraded membership experience, which would allow exasperated singles to filter for specific skin conditions.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, kicking off the second hour of the Monday night edition. It's Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
And, well, the last hour was, as usual on here on Free Talk Live, goes all over the board. But we started out talking about this wage gap between men and women. And some Harvard study says, well, not really. And honestly, that's the same as Time Magazine about a decade ago said, not really. And I guess something happened where somebody made Google go through its personnel files and they did find a wage gap. disparity?
Yeah, they did. So Google was recently sued by a woman who said that she was underpaid because her male colleagues made more. This is shortly after they fired the guy for explaining why there was, explaining and then emailing everyone in the company why he thought there was less women programmers at Google, which was the case.
Yeah, he gave some kind of explanation.
And he detailed with scientific studies and things like that to support his position. So it wasn't like he was just ranting.
No, it was scientific racism. No, sexism.
So they were sued by her. So they pretty much had to go through and say, okay, let's make sure we're paying everybody.
As a big company, that's what they have to do, because any jury, you get a gal in there who's able to demonstrate, look, I'm working just as many hours doing the same work as these guys. I'm getting 75 cents on the dollar. What's wrong with that? The jury is going to lop their head off, Google's figurative head, since it doesn't have one.
Yeah, so Google compensated, it says, 10,677 employees an extra $9.7 million to offset the underpaid wages in the study.
So they actually paid people money for that they hadn't been paid based on their gender. All right.
Yeah, most of these people were men.
They're men. Wait a second. That doesn't fit the narrative. How in the world could men be paid less than women? Unless this narrative that's been shoved down our throat for the last 40 years has been BS, but people continue to believe it in the face of evidence. And as a result, we've all become mind-numbed, and now the bias is that women should be paid more than men, even though we don't know.
Well, that just means that math is sexist.
Now math and science and Google, everybody's sexist.
Well, glaciers are sexist, apparently, according to what passed for a study.
What happened with glaciers?
Oh, yeah, there was somebody who wrote some scientist who wrote, or someone pretending to be a scientist who was actually probably like women's studies or some BS like that. Apparently, glaciers are sexist.
But why? What is sexist about a glacier? How could anybody in their right mind make a statement like
I didn't say it was anybody in their right mind.
Because Google is a software company. I can show that they're inherently sexist, and it comes from a paper that I read once by a postmodernist feminist writer who said that binary code is sexist because it's made up of ones and zeros. The ones are phallic symbols.
Okay.
The zeros are
vaginal
symbols.
All right.
And ones are inherently more valuable than zeros, so that's inherently biased against
on as opposed to turned off.
All machine code is sexist.
Okay. That's insane.
And perpetuating the
patriarchy. Good thing we're not writing code in binary anymore.
Yeah. I will admit when, electricians call things, male and female plugs and stuff. Clearly somebody needed a little more attention at home by, calling these things. But it's kind of obvious. Like the one thing fits into the other thing. But
it's not sexist. It's just perverted.
That's right. It's kind of perverted.
It's just
like, what am I discriminating against the outlet?
It's the mechanics, and I was an electrician in the Air Force, so I'm very, very familiar with the idea of male and female connectors and pins.
Yeah,
and
but they're not like pro reptile because they believe in alligator clips either, right?
Well, there is a lot of, and I do have to admit, there is a lot of inherently sexist stuff in the electrical field.
Okay, tell me.
Well, for instance, resistors, these little semiconductor components, they have, each resistor has its own value in number of ohms.
Right.
And there's a color code that tells you what the resistance of a particular resistor is. And the way you remember what the value of each color represents is with a mnemonic.
Yep.
And the mnemonic, it tells you the order of the colors. And the mnemonic is bad boys rape our young girls, but Violet gives willingly.
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
It's bad boys rape our young girls, but Violet gives willingly.
Okay.
Obviously a rather sexist saying, but it's been used for decades by electricians of both genders.
I mean, if something works, I tend not to be too upset about it, right?
I would rather my house not have an electrical fire than the electricians use nicer words.
Right. As long as they remember. Maybe somebody should come up with a new mnemonic, but, whatever. Let's go to the phones here. We've got Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. What do you got for us?
Yes, I just learned today that the Albuquerque Police Department will accept the new gun control signed by the governor.
Why wouldn't a police department accept...
As opposed to having a coup?
Well, there are counties in New Mexico that are declaring themselves sanctuary counties against enforcement of gun control laws.
Well, it's kind of interesting.
Good luck with that.
I mean, it's I don't imagine it'll work, but it's kind of an interesting...
Oh, no, it is working. I mean, basically because it's in the rural counties, the sheriffs are the ones that are enforcing it, and they're elected. They're basically saying, no, we're not going to enforce these laws because they do conflict with the Constitution, and that's what they're sworn to defend is the Constitution.
True. They make an oath to the Constitution. It's just that the difficulty is when a county sheriff is told by the state government to do something. Usually, at some point or another, they capitulate, whether it's quickly or over time. But as the case may be, mostly when it comes to gun laws, Sarah, wouldn't you agree that in a country that says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, that we probably should change the Constitution before we pass a new gun law?
Well, the thing about it is that big cities like Santa Fe or Las Cruces,
those aren't big cities.
They're metropolitan and Albuquerque.
Not a big city.
We're the one that suffer actually with gun violence crimes here.
Oh, I'm sure that there's gun violence crimes, but those cities are in America. And America has a constitution, and the Constitution says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Don't you think, before they make a law that talks about that infringes the right to keep and bear arms, that they ought to do something about the Second Amendment before they pass some crazy law that's contrary to it?
And it's statistically provable that it's the gun-free zones where the bulk of the gun violence happens.
Right. I mean, isn't that a problem too, Sarah? I mean, the places where the guns are outlawed is where the gun crime is occurring.
Well, I just want to say, you didn't have yesterday, a burglar broke into somebody's home and pointed a gun at him.
That's not a burglar. That's a home invader. What?
Yeah, here in Albuquerque, and then they're in a hospital.
The homeowner's in the hospital?
Why wasn't the homeowner shooting back?
It's already illegal to break into people's houses and shoot guns at them.
Right.
So adding another law of you can't have the gun, you're already looking at, I don't know what the laws are. They're what, 20 to life, something like that?
Where'd they get the gun from? The Obama administration?
Yeah,
that's what it's trying to restrict, is that in order to have a gun, your uncle just can't hand it to you. Your brother just can't give it out to his other
90%.
That's what's going on right now.
90%.
So they got to steal one.
90% of guns used in crime are illegally obtained. So it's not like a criminal is going to borrow or buy a gun from their uncle or their friend or whoever. They're getting their guns illegally. And actually, this is another reason why I really hate gun-free zones, particularly when you're dealing with store by store and public accommodation by public accommodation, because if I'm going around and I'm armed, exercising my right to be armed, and I want to go to a place and I need to leave my gun in the car, that leaves my gun vulnerable to being robbed from the gun, and that's putting it into crime. Gun-free zones contribute to the supply of illegal weapons.
Let's also remember that thank you for the call, Sarah. Licensed concealed carry permit holders, I think, are 10th as likely to commit a crime as a police officer and like 100th as a regular citizen. Free Talk Live.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, It is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Talk live Monday edition. Terribly sorry, technical difficulties there. It's Mark with you,
Melanie,
and Mike,
and we're talking about this the situation where Google apparently was being sued by some woman that the idea was that she was being paid less than her contemporaries, and that's sexist and wrong. So Google has to go through and do a little accounting to figure out what's going on. And turns out, yes, they are paying people. If you normalize for gender, they are paying people less based on gender, one gender less than the other. But it's men, not women, in a lot of cases. And so they have to go through and they have to fix that. And I guess I would ask this, ladies and gentlemen, why is it that we expect that if somebody makes the accusation that women are being paid less than men, that it's true, and somebody makes the accusation that men are being paid less than women, it is a novelty, and, well, I don't believe that, or whatever. I say it's because we've been told over and over and over again this untruth, this historical this fact that may have been historical at one point, but is not true now, that women are paid less than men. And it may be true if you just say, based on gender, women, this is what women make, this is what men make, and this is 73%. Okay, that's fine. But when you look at hours worked and things like that, suddenly it all goes away. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on it. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Matthew, calling in from Louisiana. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Good evening. So, Sarah had mentioned that the big city police chiefs, it's a big city in New Mexico, have said that they're going to enforce the background check law should it come into effect. Did they say how they were going to achieve this bit of miraculous policing?
I don't know. How do you enforce a background check? I mean, I guess that's where the big cities are where the gun stores are?
Well, the background check is on private sales.
Oh, that's not possible. I don't know what the law is that Sarah's talking about. I just try to take whatever Sarah says and riff with it because you're never sure whether it's a fact or not.
Well, she is talking about what they call the universal background check, which there's no way of doing without first establishing a gun registry. And as Connecticut proved, that doesn't work very well. People just don't comply.
Well, you still can't do it because files exist. So
actually, to make a correction here, a universal background check is impossible not because it requires a registry. It's impossible because of privacy. For instance, we already have the InstaCheck system, and by law, that sort of criminal record data is only accessible by law enforcement. So and so when you go to a gun shop to buy a gun, they submit the information the buyer puts on the form to either their state police or to the federal NICS system, and they do the background check and if the person has a record, they are turned down, but if they don't have a record, they're allowed to buy. So you don't need to have gun registry to do background checks, but having universal background checks on all gun sales between private persons is impossible because the law simply does not allow that sort of access to criminal records.
Not yet.
Well, there's also you're supposed to take it to a dealer and have them do it, but there's nothing to stop somebody from being inside the privacy of their own home and loaning a gun to somebody or selling a gun to somebody. The only problem, it only becomes an issue if a policeman happens to get a hold of that gun as a result of a crime occurring.
No. These laws that they're passing, for instance, there's one that was passed in Vermont, which has been deemed unenforceable, is they're trying to do it so that if I'm at the shooting range with a friend and I let my friend shoot my gun at the shooting range, that's a transfer and it needs a background check. And if we don't do a background check, I've broken the law. That's
that's basically other aspects of it as well. But they passed this same sort of thing in Washington State, and sheriffs up there have said, we're not going to enforce it because it's unenforceable. Oregon State, sheriffs up there have said the same thing. And meanwhile, in New Jersey, the magazine ban is still in effect, and nobody's turned in their magazines yet.
Yeah, nobody's turned in a single magazine.
The state police are looking at the governor. What do you expect us to do about this, smart aleck?
Right. I mean, they passed these laws to look good for the the Bloombergs of the world, the gun banners, the gun grabbers, but they, in a lot of cases, these things aren't enforceable at all. They don't have good the people who dislike guns don't have good systems for diminishing gun crime. They have systems that make other people feel good, but they don't achieve much. And, when you start looking at what the real problem is, nobody has a good solution for it because, well, the guns that are used in crime tend to be guns that were stolen. And that means the police failed at their job of protecting you. So,
or we're complicit, as we've seen in the Fast and Furious scandal, where the government.
That's why I asked whether whether they got their guns from the Obama administration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
ATF agents selling guns out of the back of their car.
I love how by the way, on Facebook, I love the whole idea of the Obama administration with no scandals. Where the hell were you for 8 years? The Obama administration.
Plenty of scandals, none prosecuted because Eric Holder and Lynch were both in the bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to be prosecuted.
You'll get yourself thrown into Facebook jail by saying any of that stuff.
Oh, I went right out and said, I seem to remember Obama's military shelling a Doctors Without Borders hospital, and then I was lambasted by liberals because Obama couldn't do anything about that. Well, it's not like that doesn't make it a scandal.
He is the commander-in-chief, so yeah.
Yeah, well, as we are noticing, it seems that our government just really doesn't care who the president is. It just keeps rolling along like a big old wheel.
Yeah, the government's going to keep doing what the government does, but it's interesting to watch the parties begin to get ramped up. At this point, the Democrats have gone full tilt insane the way the Republicans did when Obama was freshly in office.
I would say even further. I mean, particularly with the gun regs, one particularly bad gun law they're trying to pass is these red flag laws where due process is gone and anyone can call the police and say that they are scared that you may have guns, and that will justify a raid on your home and shooting you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But there is actually good news.
Hold on. We'll get to good news. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's a live Monday edition. Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450. Free. Don't you miss ForkFest 2018? Well, you can start planning now to attend ForkFest 2019. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians next summer. Well, the summer coming here, June 13th through the 18th for ForkFest 2019 at Rogers Campground in beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest is a fork of the other camping parties in the woods, and you're invited to come and create whatever experience you'd like to have. ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one's in charge. It's just up to you to create what happens, or you can simply relax and go camping with other liberty lovers. For more information and to connect with other ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat, you can go to the ForkFest forum. Visit forkfest.party. Pretty much all the information's over there at forkfest.party. Back to Matthew here. He said he had some good news surrounding gun laws in America. Matthew, you're back on Free Talk Live.
So Oklahoma and soon Kentucky are going constitutional carry.
Then you have to live in Oklahoma or Kentucky, though.
Now, I think for the laws of those states to apply to you, yes.
Yeah, I think the best thing about constitutional carry is you're just less likely to get drug in. A good law-abiding gun owner is less likely to get drug into court and bothered about having a gun. It's not the gun. It's what you did with it that's the problem. If somebody's in for somehow illegal gun ownership, the whole system's failed. We failed if that's the problem. If the problem is you having a weapon, well, humans have had weapons as long as there have been humans. We need weapons. We need to be able to protect ourselves because there's always somebody out there that wants to take your stuff. There's nothing wrong with having a weapon. It's when you use it to try to take somebody else's stuff. That's the problem.
Well, the problem is humans generally, we are really bad with teeth and claws thing. We're not very good at that sort of game.
You don't want to fight a mountain lion barehanded. Although there's a good story on the internet of somebody who was a jiu-jitsu practitioner that did put a chokehold on a mountain lion.
A mountain lion, a juvenile mountain lion that was only 27 pounds.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different story. I didn't read the story, obviously.
That came out later.
Yeah.
That was a little clickbait there, huh?
Yeah. All right, that makes a lot more sense to me then. Because I would think that a mountain lion would just throw you over and then bite you in the neck. Thanks for the call, Matthew. Appreciate it. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Melanie, we keep on interrupting your reading of the story here, but I guess Google was forced by a lawsuit to look at the gender disparity in pay and the pay gap, and found out there was in fact a gender disparity in the pay gap, but it wasn't the direction that they thought. And it turns out they were paying more men lower than women.
Yeah, and from MSN, Google's...
I can only imagine MSN is really upset that they have to print this story. Go ahead.
Yeah. Google's 20... Well, I always try to find a source that would not want to say what it is that I want to say.
Sure.
It just seems more credible, even though that's not really
It's fun.
the case. Google's 2018 analysis found that in one group of lower-level software engineers, men, quote, received less discretionary funds than women, according to the post authorized by Google's lead analyst for pay equality and people analytics, Laura someone.
So discretionary funds doesn't sound like a paycheck to me. Discretionary funds sounds like a slush fund that your particular group of people, I don't know, your department has. And, I suppose that the men should have the same slush fund as the women have, but that's not a pay gap. That's a slush fund gap, right?
Yeah, what is this discretionary fund for? I mean,
it doesn't...
I don't know. They're just writing the story. Go ahead.
Nearly half of the adjustment fund was spent on discrepancies in offer... The fund was spent? On discrepancies in offers to new hire, Lauren wrote, which was the result of a new hire analysis Google conducted in the 2018 study. That doesn't...
Maybe they've created a fund to pay out the difference in the...
That sounds more logical.
Maybe the fund is to pay out for...
And they wound up paying more to men
than women.
To correct things.
I see. Okay, go ahead.
Google outlined its methodology for the report, saying it runs statistical analysis to look for unexplained differences in total compensation, salary, bonus, and equity. Equity being stock options, not the ethereal concept of equity.
Okay.
Across demographic groups. Google analyzed every job group and found at least 30 employees total and at least 5 per demographic group. The analysis included 91% of Google employees.
So 91% of Google employees were analyzed, and when they found pay discrepancies, those discrepancies tended towards men.
Yeah.
Well, there we go, folks. We have now reached peak equality, ladies. This is it. This is what it looks like. Now we have companies, large companies, the big employers of the world, doing analysis on themselves and coming up with the analysis that, oops, we've been paying women too much. This is what it feels like, by the way. When you're like, well, there's nothing I could do about it. I wasn't paying these men too little. This is what men feel like and have felt like for decades when we're getting talked to about the patriarchy. I don't know what this patriarchy is, but it's not me.
Absolutely. When I was in the military, we saw this because women in the same rank got paid more than men simply because they had their dress and grooming standards. Someone decided that they cost more, so they got more money to pay for all their grooming needs and so forth. So, we always said, well, geez, why don't they just adjust the standards? But it would always seem to be something that was, where's this patriarchy if we've got it already set up in the system where they're actually paying more the other way?
Well, I think that brings us to our next story, which is now we have a Supreme Court ruling on, the draft and the obvious gender disparity that's going on in society, right? Like,
we have a court ruling or we have a Supreme Court ruling?
A court ruling, I believe.
No, it was the Supreme Court rule.
Okay, go ahead.
That
do you have it? Do you have it here, there on?
I don't have it in front of me, but I read the article the other day. It was the Supreme Court ruled that as long as all combat positions are open to women, that it is unequal for only men to be subject to the draft.
So I've got here from National Public Radio, not exactly a bastion of conservative politics. Judge rules male-only draft violates the Constitution. Requiring only men to register for the draft is unconstitutional, a federal judge has ruled. The Military Selective Service Act states that men in the U.S. ages 18 through 25 must register in case the country needs a military draft, Women face no such requirement. On Friday, a federal judge in Texas ruled that that a males-only draft violates the equal protection provisions of the U.S. Constitution, while historical restrictions on women in the military may have justified past discrimination. They don't anymore, wrote senior Judge Gary Miller of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas. So, I am not celebrating this. I do not consider this a win for men's rights or anything like that.
I don't think there's much of a this to either celebrate or mourn.
Well, first we need to account for the fact that there actually isn't a draft. We have selective service.
Yes.
So there hasn't actually been an active draft since, I think, 1972 or something.
Thereabouts, right?
You can still get arrested, though, for not signing up.
But you probably are going to face restrictions for college grants and licenses and things like that.
Yeah, you don't get arrested for not signing up for the selective service. You are denied access to college loan GSLs and things like that.
So it's certainly a heavy incentive to register for the draft, even though there isn't a draft currently. And we'll go into this here a little bit more. The number, if you'd like to comment, 855-450-3733. Going to get to the Discord chat here. Kind of forgetting about that. By the way, if you want to go to discord.freetalklive.com, you'll sound great. It's discord.freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you'll need a plan and place to survive. Forget bunkers. You're not a live underground gopher. You need survivalist camps, the ultimate fully functional, off-the-grid mobile survival bug-out house that's well-equipped and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Bold statement? You bet. See them now at survivalistcamps.com. That's survivalistcamps.com. Trust your family survival to survivalistcamps.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.fm in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.fm. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Monday edition. Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. And, well, don't forget about our Discord, like I did. Go to discord.freetalklive.com. There's an app there. It's probably the better way to do it rather than the online version. But I use the online version, too. You just can't make the call in. You get the app. You can make a call in from your phone. You sound significantly better. I'd like to demonstrate that to you by bringing on the Christian Anarchist right now on Free Talk Live. Christian Anarchist, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, I heard Sarah earlier whining about guns, and so that reminded me of something. I just got back from Australia and New Zealand, and, you know, down there, they don't even have guns for the cops, which I agree with. I wish that all cops were disarmed and only the citizens had guns.
Right, but I mean, the funny thing is here in America is you're going to send people with guns to go get the people with guns. It doesn't make any sense. If having guns is bad, then why would you give them to the police?
And I asked a lady down there about the guns in New Zealand. They do still have some hunting guns, but
Single shot.
I'm not sure, probably, but they don't have any handguns. But now I was listening to the radio down there, and someone in Christchurch and that's the name of a town in New Zealand. They've decided to start taking pot shots at the cops, I suppose, using one of these one-shot hunting guns.
Or even an air rifle, potentially.
Well, New Zealand New Zealand allows more firearm ownership than Australia. They're two different countries. So, yeah.
Their flags look similar.
Yeah. And they both drive on the wrong side of the road. So now I just got back into the car that was in the parking garage for 2 weeks, and I'm reaching for the wrong side of the steering wheel for the turn signal indicator. Yeah. I've done it twice now. Anyway, at least I'm not driving down the wrong side of the road.
How do cops handle somebody with a gun in New Zealand if they don't have any guns?
Now, this is what the story's about. They're on the news. They said, well, now we've got to arm the police because somebody's shooting at us, and they only do it during, high profile events such as this. So the guns, I guess they got all their guns locked away in a cabinet somewhere. And so now the cops are breaking out their guns, and they're going to be wearing their guns until they catch this guy. But they haven't a clue who's doing it. And they even said on the news report that they have no idea how many guns are out there in New Zealand. So they have lost through their regulation and confiscation program and everything else, they've lost track of how many people actually have guns or where all the guns are, because apparently a lot of them didn't get turned in, surprise. And so they don't have an accurate guess of how many guns are out there. But
a lot of boating accidents.
Yeah. Oops, drop the gun overboard. Sorry.
A lot of boating accidents.
Well, the conspiracy theorist in me says these cops aren't either they're misreporting getting shot at, or there's a cop out there that they've all agreed, all right, Jim, you take a couple of shots over or near us or whatever. We trust you. You're a great shot. You're not going to kill any of us. And, if you get out there and do this, then we'll be able to have our guns back. So we got the gun ownership to be completely illegal. And many police officers, certainly not all in America, but many police officers would just like the guns to be illegal, because that way, it's just a prohibition. It's easy to find people who are doing something that's prohibited. It's hard to find criminals, and so they'd rather have that to do, and then the cops get their guns back.
You could be right. Now, I do like being in countries where the cops don't have guns, because I have less chance of getting shot by a cop. So that part I like. I don't like the fact that the citizens don't have.
I can't remember what the number is, but I think it's like 10 times. You're 10 times more likely to be shot by a cop in America than you are to be killed by a terrorist. And a lot of people are scared of terrorists.
All we have to do is look at YouTube to see that for a fact. And as far as terrorists go, I've said this over 20 years at least. I've said to people, there are no terrorists in this country. There are no terrorists in this country. Zero terrorists in this country. Because if we had any terrorists in this country, they would be performing attacks on a regular basis, and we would have a lot of dead people. Instead of this idea that we're treating everybody like a terrorist, let's start using statistics. The statistics show us that there aren't any terrorists in this country because there aren't any terrorist attacks.
Well, there's a few here and there, but I mean, it's vanishingly small by the list of population. And if you want the terrorist attacks to go away, just stop occupying people's homelands.
Right. But I mean, even the homegrown terrorist, which is the thing they like to spout, that doesn't even happen very often. How long has it been since Timothy McVeigh? How long has it been since any of these people have
There's
actually
a few here and there, but not many.
I mean, there was Hassan at the Fort Hood shooting.
Yeah.
There was a fellow with the the propane tanks in Times Square in his car.
Right, but he got caught.
He got
by citizens, not cops.
Yeah, they're catching a lot of these guys, and a lot of a lot of this is because of a lot of surveillance that goes on.
Well, they're not catching a lot of guys either, because half of the guys, at least, that they claim to have caught were set up by the FBI or set up by, they do these sting operations. It's like when you have a cop out in the corner pretending to be a hooker, and then you arrest people for prostitution. Well,
it's a little bit worse than that, because in that scenario, you have somebody who is kind of looking for it anyway. But they
FBI, don't have the means. I've mentioned this in the past. You have to have motive, and you have to have a desire, and you have to have means. There are thousands of people with the desire, but they don't have the means. So if you provide them the means to go do something that they couldn't have done in the past, and they couldn't have done naturally, then you haven't.
They didn't even necessarily start with it. But in the case of the FBI, these people had no interest in terrorism until they were kind of
they were stirred up.
By the FBI?
I think there's a difference between sentiment and desire, though, because I'm sure that there's a good number of people who wouldn't mind if certain attacks happened. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of libertarians who would not mind if someone nuked Washington D.C. Would get rid of a lot of problems, but none of them would actually seek to act on that sort of thing.
Well, I'll go even farther, and I'll state that there's probably a lot of people that would do a lot of damage if they could, but they can't because they don't have the means. Now, if you provide them the means, then you haven't, and then you bust them. You haven't stopped a crime.
There's so much easy way to do that there's so much information online in terms of doing improvised explosive devices, 3D printing weapons, things like that. I mean, there's plenty of means available out there that are not that expensive.
Yeah, if they want to do it, but they just, they may have if it was handed to them, they may have the desire to do something, but they won't go through the work of creating it. And there's been there's been several times here in New Hampshire where somebody, maybe it was the federal agent, maybe it was just some kind of dupe, I don't know, but somebody has come in and basically said, hey, I got the goods, guys. Let's go and do this thing or that thing, or what would you do if you had this and that, and those kind of things. And you pretty much, I don't like to play the game, let's guess who the Fed is, but when they start talking like that, that's pretty much what I presume. And
a lot of times, some of these guys are nothing more than big shot, guys with a big mouth, and they just want to say they're going to do all this stuff. But then, the feds come in there and give them some stuff, and then they kind of put them on the spot, and then they have to act out a little bit, and then they come in and bust them.
And they usually work on these people for months, if not years. I mean, they almost coax most of these people into. No, that doesn't make these people innocent. If you go around blowing up civilian buildings, you're, a horrible person at the very least. But they spend months and years coaxing people into even having any interest in this.
And they did that.
And then teach them how to build bombs and stuff. Okay, well, maybe quit training terrorists, FBI.
And in one case, they actually they called, this guy had gotten a job in a different state, and he was going to move away, and then, the plan wasn't going to happen. They called and got the guy fired from the new job. The FBI says we shouldn't hire you or whatever. I don't know how they explained it. And that's something darn close to entrapment. I'm sorry.
That's pretty sick, is what it is.
That's definitely a setup.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Sick.
I mean,
These people are sick.
I don't know if ISIS even has that kind of determination.
Yeah. Thanks for the call,
and I'm not talking about the terrorists that are sick. I'm talking about the cops that are sick for setting these guys up.
By the way, great audio.
Yeah, right, there's something going on there. Appreciate the call, Gene.
All right.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Yes, I want law enforcement to get the people that are going to blow people up. No, I don't want law enforcement funding and training terrorists, and then once they've funded and trained a terrorist, then to go in and get the terrorists they funded and trained. That's not what I'm looking for out of my law enforcement.
Job security for your bureaucracy.
Well, great. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live.
Let me ask you something. What are you doing when you put money in a 401k or IRA, or store jumper cables in your vehicle, or purchase health insurance? You're preparing. You're preparing to ensure you have enough money for retirement. You're preparing for when your car battery dies, or to have assistance paying a major unexpected medical bill. That all makes sense. The same goes for building a food storage plan. You're preparing for when emergencies or disasters strike and shelves go empty at your grocery store. The best way to prepare is with My Patriot Supply. They've helped 1 million hardworking Americans become more self-sufficient. My Patriot Supply sells hundreds of items, including dozens of emergency food kits, at MyPatriotSupply.com. It could be an earthquake, a cyber attack freezing our banking system, or a disaster that shuts down our power grid for weeks. For all these emergencies and more, get your supplies and prepare today at MyPatriotSupply.com. No more rushing to find empty store shelves because you're too late. Do it now so you're ready. MyPatriotSupply.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,288. Silver opened at $15.13. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,703. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a firestorm over comments critical of Israel by Representative Ilhan Omar continued to engulf the Democratic Party and American politics over the weekend. The anti-media reports that Omar, a Democrat from Minnesota, continues to stand firm in her assertion that criticism of the Israeli occupation does not constitute anti-Semitism. And the blowback she's received from Republicans and Democrats alike sheds light on the absence of questioning over Israel's special treatment in U.S. foreign policy. The controversy over Omar's criticism of Israel's influence on American politics began February 11th and has not yet let up. Omar endured renewed accusations of anti-Semitism on Friday for remarks made last Wednesday at a Washington bookstore. In an opinion piece for The Guardian in February, President of the National Iranian American Council, Trita Parsi, and historian Stephen Wertheim cautioned against playing into prejudice and racism, but noted that, quote, concern about lobbyist influence is legitimate and poised to intensify, end quote. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at myBraveBotanicals.com. And Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Beat for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Your news now continues. A disabled French man in a wheelchair who was participating in Saturday's Yellow Vest protest in Toulouse, France, proved the necessity of the protest after he was sprayed in the face at point-blank range with pepper spray. The entire disturbing scene was captured on video. The protests have not been short on violence, as police have been seen savagely beating single protesters, as well as protesters fighting police. According to the person who uploaded the video, the man in the wheelchair was interacting with police because they had taken his protective eyewear. The video shows the officer holding a set of goggles. The video also shows the man arguing with the officer, who appears not to want to give him back his goggles. As the man in the wheelchair followed the officer, who could have simply stepped up on the curb according to the Free Thought Project, pulled out his riot control pepper spray and doused the man in the face. The United States wants to form as broad a coalition as possible to ramp up regime change efforts in Venezuela. That's according to U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton during CNN's State of the Union on March 3rd. Meanwhile, U.S. proclaimed Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido is to return to the country on March 4th to lead protests against President Nicolas Maduro's government. In returning, he's risking arrest as he was prohibited from leaving the country by the Venezuelan Supreme Court. During his travels abroad, he visited Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Ecuador, and thanked all of them for their support. He has also once more called on the Venezuelan military, claiming that many have defected, but saying it's necessary for all of them to join the opposition's side because the chain of command is broken. Mid-Press News reports that he also alleged that armed groups are gunning down unarmed villages simply for demanding humanitarian aid. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for the Liberty Beat on March 4th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Shortly after having sexual intercourse with a prostitute earlier this afternoon, local man Jacob Reynolds told reporters that he never expected the experience would bring him to new heights of emotional and spiritual fulfillment.
I was convinced that having sex with a complete stranger behind my wife's back would leave me feeling drained and empty on the inside, but my self-esteem is through the roof.
Reynolds, who said he paid $150 for a 30-minute block of time, said that his moderate expectations for the encounter were instantly surpassed by what turned out to be a deeply personal sexual communion that transported him to a new plane of emotional intimacy.
I've never felt a stronger sense of spiritual connection. When our bodies met, there was an immediate sense of familiarity and comfort that just washed over me. I think it was the most meaningful experience of my life.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday edition. We're kicking off the third hour here. It's Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, or you can use the Discord lines at discord.freetalklive.com. Let's go to Dave calling in from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, crew. Have you guys been following the case of New Hampshire right to travel activist Jessica Love?
No, I did talk to her online, asked her to call in, and she's been rather busy.
Okay. Obviously she can tell you more and better than I could, but I guess she recently wrapped up a 10-year run apparently of driving without a license and finally got caught. And she says it was worth it. Apparently I think she got caught about a month ago. And they took her card temporarily, and I guess there was sort of a hassle for her, and a lot of activists kind of had to help her briefly, or maybe a couple activists had to help her. But she says she added up. She had to go to court. She's added up all the numbers of how much it cost her and so forth. And she said she saved a lot of money by doing it this way, despite all the rigmarole that the court put her through.
Well, that's interesting.
That's how it turns out a lot of the time. If you can get a good run, in a lot of cases, for various violations, you come out ahead.
I don't know. I don't think that there's a lot to the notions that you're not required to have a license, and that's only for vessels and whatever it is that people may come up with. But I can say this. It's highly unlikely when we're talking about an adult that if you take away their driver's license, I'm not going to be a better or worse driver if my driver's license expires and I don't pay to renew it. It doesn't change how good or bad of a driver I am. I'm just the same guy I was at this time without a driver's license. So the only reason for somebody who's at some point gotten their driver's license to lose their driver's license is basically just money. It's all about them, getting the money or whatever. I mean, you could do some things and they can take your driver's license away from you, and then, maybe that'll get you to be a better driver because, well, I don't know, reasons. But they, I think mostly they just do it to get paid.
Yeah, there is kind of an interesting rich history of the right to travel activism in New Hampshire. I guess most recently there was there's a state rep who's a right to travel guy, and he took it to court and everything, and he did try to use all these conspiracy theories and procedures and incantations, and he refused to cross the bar into the area where the judge and the prosecutors were.
Yeah, his name's Dick Marple.
So there's nothing else. If nothing else, it provides a little bit of color along the lonely road we must travel.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this, that stuff, if you're just trying to baffle them with BS, feel free, but don't expect me to get on board with all that stuff. That's just not my belief system.
As with anything else, the important thing is not whether you like what someone's saying, but whether they're doing what's right. And standing up to the government is what's
not
right.
a lot of people doing, standing up and pushing back against the inexorable growth of the state. And if they are, they're my teammate.
Oh, you know what? As long as we're talking about Jessica Love, did you know she actually is starting a New Hampshire Yellow Vest branch?
Yes, I've seen her at a few events. She's got her vest, and she's been rather vocal on social media about that.
Yeah, the Yellow Vest thing sweeping Europe, and I guess they're trying to get a little something going here in America, too.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE. David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, since you were talking about that, first of all, Kurt Riggin, R-I-G-G-I-N. Anybody know that name?
I recognize it, but no, I couldn't tell you why.
No.
Well, you look it up on Google sometime. It's right up what you're talking about, right to drive, stuff like that. And what he does is part of the message I'm trying to convey is, here's one, for instance. He was pulled over one time. He never had a driver's license. He was pulled over one time, and he had fought these guys in court so many times. The cop pulled up behind him, sat there for about 20 minutes, and then just left once he figured out
it was him,
because they didn't want to deal with him anymore. And that's the message. Is the other day, Ian cut the end of the phone call when I said that I'm up against. I got the one set of charges for calling my government on the telephone, and now I got another government agency. The court is threatening to call the sheriff on me for calling and asking for answers that I'm entitled to, and Ian's mindset is that you'll get to fight it when they cite you and take you into court, and what I'm trying to get across is like this Kurt Riggin, and that's Kurt with a K, is that if you battle them before they battle you and battle them hard, then the cop will pull up behind you, sit there for about 20 minutes, and then leave when he figures out who you are. Anyway, that's not my topic. I just threw that in there because it might be. Oh, and the side note, I was in a courtroom on a failure to have a driver's license thing with Kurt Riggin representing my friend in Sedona, Arizona, back in, I don't know, around the turn of the century, around 2000, somewhere in there, just after 2000, 2001, 2002. A woman that I knew in that area was fighting that.
How'd it go?
We had that judge, and that. I don't remember that was one hearing. I don't know what the final disposition of the whole issue of whether or not she was going to get a driver's license. But what I do know is that the judge recessed the hearing at a given point after we had been arguing back and forth in the courtroom. And by the end of the hearing, we had made up with the judge, and we were all friends again. But we had the judge admitted that at the recess, he recessed. He was ready to go back in his chambers and drink a fifth of liquor. We had him so tied up that he wanted to go back and get drunk. And that's the point, is you need to hammer these people. Oh, and your mnemonic thing, you just reminded me of something that the
speaking of resistance, let's talk about the mnemonic.
Yeah.
This is something that we talked about in the first hour, which was, Mike, electricians have some mnemonic for knowing the different types of resistors?
Well, yeah, the color codes on resistors, the colors represent numbers that tell you how many ohms of resistance that resistor has.
Right.
And so because it's, there's so many colors, you need to remember what numbers are represented by those colors. So we have a mnemonic saying that has those colors in order from 0 to 9, and so that it goes: bad boys rape our young girls, but Violet goes willingly, which is black, brown, red.
I know where Violet is,
but it goes on.
Which reminded me that the do re mi fa sol la, that thing reminded me that I had changed that to "Don't rape me, fatso, let me go." How I remembered that one.
We had a song that, thank you for the call, David, appreciate it. We had a song in school that, do, a deer, a female deer. I mean, that was the way we learned it all.
That was in the Sound of Music, wasn't it?
I don't know where it came from, but we certainly taught it in first grade at Braden and Christian, and stuck with it from there. Miss Moorhead, wherever you are, thanks. I think that mnemonics are something that really are very helpful in learning, and if it's a little rude, then maybe somebody needs to come up with a better one and start training people on it. But something works, it works, and I'm not going to complain.
There's another thing in electricity. There's the diagonal cutters for cutting wires diagonally are called dikes.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. They are diagonal cutting devices, and they're called dikes. 855-450-3733. Am I a sexist for calling dikes dikes? Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lick-O-Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved LicoChops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try LicoChops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynovite.
DINOVITE.com.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and it was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Live Monday edition. You're welcome to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. Use the call-in lines at 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Mostly the show prep tonight's been surrounding the gender pay gap, and then we moved on to, I guess, federal judges said that it's sexual discrimination for men to be have to register for selective service and women don't have to. So that should be interesting. Keep your eye on that. But, Mike, you brought in some show prep surrounding voter fraud in New Hampshire and its juxtaposition towards another situation.
Okay, so a lot of people have heard from, since the Trump campaign in 2016, claims of voter fraud. There's been statistics showing that there's a possibility that Jeanne Shaheen and
Democratic senator.
And the former governor.
That's true.
Maggie Hassan won.
Oh, but Shaheen's also a former governor.
Yeah. And won because of potential voter fraud, and that Hillary won the state possibly because of the numbers of same-day voter registrants in the state who did not respond by getting a driver's license within 60 days of the election as required by law.
Right.
Was greater than the vote spread in the election.
Right. So let me explain that real quick. Here in New Hampshire, you can register on the same day to vote. And if you register on the same day to vote, it's likely that what it means is that you intend to live in the state. So you should get a driver's license within 60 days of doing that. And if you don't, then you're suspected. Like you should be, your name's put on a list. And the number of names on this list of people who voted in the Democratic primary, and this is the thing I've always said, is most of this stuff centers around the primary. Voter fraud centers around the primary. And what do I, as a Republican, care if the Democrats, foobar their own primary? I don't really care much. But in this case, there were more names on the list than there was as far as the difference between Hillary and Bernie in New Hampshire. Is that right?
There was also in the general election.
Okay.
So there was, decisions being made in the general election that were greater than the same-day registrants on election day for the general election.
Okay. I happen to know two people that were on that list.
And
they voted Republican, by the way.
So they have finally convicted one person who was on that list.
All right.
A 21-year-old fellow who I would guess is probably a UNH student, since he's living in Durham, or no, he was voting in Durham.
Okay, sounds like a fair bet.
Which is where UNH is located. But he is a resident of Drake, Massachusetts, and they were able to establish that he voted both in Durham and in Drake, and so he's been convicted of voter fraud. He's been
likely because he got an absentee ballot in Drake and sent that in, and then went and voted while in Durham.
Yes, and both jurisdictions have signed affidavit from him stating that he was not domiciled voting in any other state or any other city or town.
Right.
So at
But
least
you have to sign all the time anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he's been convicted. He had 6 months in the House of Corrections, which can be suspended if he completes 200 hours of community service and pays a $2,000 fine. He's the fourth person that's been convicted this year. There's been, from prior elections, 3 other persons, one gentleman from Miami, another person from Hooksett, and 2 other people in voting in Hooksett.
Is this Miami, Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
And 2 people from Belchertown, Mass, who voted in Hampton, New Hampshire. So
a lot of it's going on in New Hampshire.
Yes. And so, they're starting to rack up some convictions here. And so, we've got the voter ID law here in New Hampshire and the Democrats are complaining that, it's somehow violating your right to vote, having to have an ID. There's a number of college students that are protesting that because they're obviously not residents of the state, and they don't want to have to get a state resident, possibly because their financial aid may be based upon,
financial aid is not based upon state citizenship.
Well, not government financial
residency.
aid, not government financial aid, but what may be coming from their own state. So, for instance, the real question here is that the second story that I was bringing up is a story where in Missouri there is a chain of stores, and this is not a law as of yet, but a chain of stores is refusing to sell energy drinks to anyone under the age 18, and they're IDing people who want to buy bottled water that happens to have vitamins in it, like B12, which is considered an energy supplement.
Okay.
So if you buy, like Smart Water or, any kind of water that has the vitamins in it, this is deemed an energy drink, and they will ID you as if you're buying alcoholic beverages. And so then the question is,
but it's 18 over, not 21 over, right?
Right. And so then the question is, why is it okay to be requiring an ID to buy water, and you shouldn't have an ID to vote in a jurisdiction?
I don't feel like those are related because the store can. This is not an entirely. The store can't discriminate against whoever it wants, but on age grounds, the store can decide to sell or not sell to whoever it wants.
Right, and it's not
voting
a law
is an
yet.
entirely different animal.
Right, it's not a law yet.
So here's what I would say is that if voting is valuable and important, someone will try to misappropriate that value in the direction that they want to misappropriate it.
Right.
It's either valuable and important or it's not. And I would contend that it is not valuable and not important. But for those that believe it is valuable and is important, they must defend the notion that it is both valuable and important, but never stolen, or nearly never stolen. If it is, if that is an untenable position, you cannot have something that is valuable and important, and no one or very few people attempt to misappropriate it. So, if people are going to misappropriate it, you need to have some kind of security checks in place.
Correct.
What the first thing you're going to want to know is that if you're going to let everybody vote, and I don't think we should let everybody vote. By no means. I think that there should be all kinds of criteria for voting. But if the criteria is a heartbeat and citizenship, not that those have necessarily been the criteria all across America all the time, but those are the ones we talk about today. Heartbeats and citizenship. Well, you should only get one vote in the whole in a given election. If that's going to be the case, you need some kind of identification process. I will admit to you that getting a government ID in some jurisdictions is a pain in the butt. That's not my problem, but you need to be able to identify, and to my mind, you need to be able to identify somebody if they're going to vote. And if you don't have the wherewithal, the time, the energy, or whatever to get a government ID, am I supposed to be very concerned about your inability to vote?
And also, there are all these the people that oppose having this ID or theoretically oppose it tend to also, they actually have the ID for various government services that they want and demand.
855-450-3733.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon.
That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Monday edition. It's Mark with you.
Melanie.
And Mike.
Talking about, well, Mike, you brought up voter fraud, and it's happening a lot here in New Hampshire. It would, because New Hampshire has had one of the laxest voter registration laws in the country, and they've amped it up a little bit, but it's not much.
Oh, and it's been so crazy in the past. I've had debates with assistant attorney generals who were in charge of investigating voter fraud, who were basically covered it up, and they had said to myself and others like Ed Nail and so forth that domicile is a state of mind.
Well, in New Hampshire,
that's kind of true.
let me real quick here. Free Talk Live brought to you by Bitcoin.com. If you're not familiar with Bitcoin.com, that's your premier source for everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related. At Bitcoin.com, you can go and get a Bitcoin wallet. You can purchase some Bitcoin. You can go get some free Bitcoin Cash from their wallet. You can spend your Bitcoin. They'll show you where to spend it. One of the places they recommend is going to saveatpurse.com. And you go to saveatpurse.com. You can save 25% on your purchases at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. That's a pretty big deal. So you can go get some crypto, and they'll tell you how to spend it, everything. They get the latest news, whatever you need. You get it at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. So what I think about this the situation where people are mad, liberals, Democrats are mad because New Hampshire's instituted some new laws. Not, to my mind, not strict enough.
Oh, no.
On who can vote and who can't. Now, I generally, at this point, I don't vote because I don't want to give up my address to the government. I don't trust them to be a caretaker of my address.
But they already have it in the county registration.
Nope. My house isn't owned by me. I have given up what I consider to be statistically insignificant act of voting. However, people defend this act as though it's Fort Knox. And if we're going to defend that, you're going to have to understand, if you're going to act that way, some people are going to believe you that it is important. So they're going to go ahead and vote in two places. We got a young man who voted in Massachusetts and New Hampshire in the general election, casting his vote ridiculously. Think about this for a second. This man is going to go to jail for casting a vote for Hillary Clinton, presumably, in Massachusetts. Did Hillary Clinton need this guy's vote to win Massachusetts? Could anybody of any any level of sanity imagine that somehow Donald Trump was going to pull off Massachusetts in the general election in 2016? Well, no. But this idiot went ahead and voted in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire because he believes voting is important and doesn't understand it. When I was on a train a couple of years ago, I ended up talking to a high-level Democratic staffer for a senator, and he was using the terminology, he was explaining something. He was using the terminology low-information voter. And I'm like, yeah, these people shouldn't be voting. You'd have thought I said the N-word. What? You're like, no, if you're a low-information voter, you shouldn't be voting. Like when you think about
that's absolutely who they do want to be voting.
I mean, if I'm a low information employee, I shouldn't be hiring staff for positions where I don't even know what the position is half the time.
Yes, absolutely. If you can't name how many states are in the union, here, if you can't pass the U.S. Citizenship exam, you shouldn't be voting. We already give a test as to whether or not a person can vote.
Well, our former president thought there were 57 states.
He was. It's funny. I'm willing to give him a pass because he was probably tired. Maybe he was talking about districts. If you count like Maine and Nebraska as electoral districts,
I think what he was counting was territories like Guam and
could be. I don't know what he's figuring, but whatever it might be, I'm willing to give Obama a pass. In the same way, I'm willing to give Bush a pass on some of his stuff too. But we do have a test for whether or not you can vote. We call it the citizenship test. It's only administered once, but it is administered to people born outside the United States to see whether they can vote inside the United States. I believe it should be administered every single time to people inside the United States. And everybody who's voting, everybody, and if you can't pass it, then your vote should be called an auxiliary ballot, a standby ballot, or something like that, which is a nice word for throw it in the trash can. That's what I believe, because if you can't pass this is easy. Go online. You should be able to do this.
They will claim that that's really a literacy test.
And look, the United States has a racist...
Well, if you can't read, you probably shouldn't be running the country.
Right. If you can't read, you shouldn't be voting. But look, if you... the literacy tests were racist. I've tried to take one of them. It was a weird thing. It was clearly intended to catch some people who, they didn't want voting based on their skin color. I get it. This existed. We sent black people to the back of the bus. That didn't mean we got rid of buses. All right. The idea that somebody has to have a certain level of cognitive function and knowledge to be able to do an act that is considered to be important, like voting. I just don't get it. Really, you want? Okay, let me tell you this story. I at one point ended up in a whirlpool, a sauna, a whirlpool bath thing with this woman who worked at a asylum, for better words. And she was very proud. When we were talking about politics, she was very proud. She said, every election, I get those, these people are, I don't know what the proper term is, mentally retarded was what we called them some years ago. And she said she gets them all in the van, and she takes them to vote, and she tells them, each and every one of them as they get out, remember to vote Democrat. They're the ones that fund us. And look, I don't care if it's Democrat. You would be just, if you're a Democrat and she said to tell them to vote Republican, you'd still be mad. Look, that's a van full of 14 retarded people just X'd out 14 really intelligent people's votes. 14 intelligent people that voted for Republicans. It's just not the way it should be. I'm sorry. If you want good results, you need to have the opinions of qualified people.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And That's all I can tell when it comes to these things. So if you hate my opinion, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Vernon calling in from New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Vernon, can you hear me now? How about now? Wonder what's going on there.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry
what's
about
on?
that. So as far as not being able to register to vote or to try to save the government from figuring out where you live, I guess, so I totally see where you're coming from, and I've tried to do the same thing as much as possible. But I just wonder, even if they're bad stewards of my address, what harm comes of that? I'm just curious.
Well, you're in a little bit different position as far as I know than Mark is in.
Right. So I've got a guy who makes threats against me and my family on a regular basis. I've had plenty of death threats, but there's one guy in particular that makes a lot of them. And you can go find that at things James Whittakind says. I put them in quotation marks because I copy and paste that stuff. And you can see the sorts of things he says. It's on Facebook. You just look up things James Whittakind says. But yeah, I mean, I don't want anybody to be able to necessarily find out where I live. I'm on nationally syndicated radio, and 500,000 people hear my voice and my opinions on a monthly basis.
It's easy as anything to find a studio. I mean,
Sure.
To me, it just seems like it's a. And again, I'm not judging you or anything. I'm just trying to.
Vernon, I don't care if I get shot and killed. I care whether my wife and child get shot and killed. They're not at the studio.
You make a good point. You make it as long as it's for your protection. I guess I was thinking you were looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
I've got something to hide or something like that. You know what I mean? And I guess maybe that's the angle. Like maybe you all can explain it to me. Like why do other people that don't have death threats and other things? Why is it that they want to hide their address from the government?
I think the government, if they want to find you, can just look up your cell phone bill and figure out what your cell phone is at 3 o'clock in the morning most nights, and if they want to figure out where you are, would be my guess. But why they do it, I don't know. People are weird. Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Expertise to figure out how to get.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
the people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the bigot no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Monday edition, final segment here. We were talking about the idea of voter fraud. And if you listen to sort of, I don't know, the media that sounds more liberal, I don't like to label them one side or other. Free Talk Live's happy to call themselves a libertarian talk show. I don't have a problem with doing that. But I don't want anybody to take a label that they don't want to have. However, you get the notion that the voter fraud just doesn't happen. Rarely, and you'll get these news stories and this kind of thing, and, vanishingly rare that voter fraud happens. Well, I'm not sure that's entirely true. I think that, in fact, voter fraud is difficult to prove. Not a particularly important crime by most states' attorneys' estimation. And in most cases, people just get away with it. That it's a crime that, whatever. Have I ever been in a situation where I could have both voted with an absentee ballot and voted in another jurisdiction? You're darn right I could have. It would have been easy as pie. I've been offered money for my vote. I've been offered an opportunity to buy somebody else's vote.
I've had that one. And it was like, no.
I've been offered.
Why would I want that?
People have offered me, because I live in a battleground state.
Yeah,
have offered to vote for my candidate in their state if I voted for their candidate in this state.
Okay, and I imagine that seems fair to them. In my case, I was a taxi cab driver, and it was, I think, the Bush-Kerry election. And the lady said she'd give me $20 tip if I voted for Kerry. Now, what I didn't tell her is, hey, lady, I'm a convicted felon and I can't vote in the state of Florida. But I was telling her what I would do, in the future. And I was voted for Michael Badnarik, I believe was the option at the time, the Libertarian candidate. And so she didn't want me to waste my vote on the Libertarian. She wanted to give me $20 so that I would vote for Kerry. What's that?
I love the wasted vote argument.
Yeah, the wasted vote argument really is silly. I can tell you one way that you can get your opinion heard without wasting it. You can go to amp.freetalklive.com and you can support Free Talk Live. There's nothing out there on the radio like Free Talk Live. Nobody's taking the positions that we're taking. Nobody's supporting freedom. Nobody's giving you the opportunity to have your voice heard the way Free Talk Live is. And if you think that's valuable, and it is, unlike your vote, this is valuable. Go to amp.freetalklive.com, and all we're asking is $5 a month. That's the cost of some kind of fancy coffee at one of these fancy coffee chains, or something that you can do without. You can do without $5. I swear, this is not an issue of cutting back or anything like that. It's amp.freetalklive.com. It means a lot to us, and you get to have your voice heard within Free Talk Live. We listen to our amplifiers. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. Have your voice heard. When I think about, in one instance, I had a friend who decided that he was no longer going to vote because something didn't go his way. I don't like the government anymore. I'm not voting. And he said, he'd vote for me. He said, for $10, I'll go and vote for you. I'll vote however you want me to vote. Which, of course, if he's offering it to a libertarian offering libertarians to vote, you're just getting $10 to go vote, right? Libertarians are going to have you vote for the
It's not worth risking the felony for $10. I mean, come on.
No, but nobody likely would do anything about it. It's just so pointless. This whole conversation that goes on. If you want to have good results, let's think about something that we want to have good results on. Let's talk about brain surgery. If you want to have brain surgery, good results in brain surgery, you're not going to go on a Facebook group and just ask people about brain surgery. Right? You're not just going to get anybody's old opinion on brain surgery. You certainly wouldn't get their yes/no opinion on brain surgery. That's voting is this blunt force notion that really, the best I can tell, is really just meant to keep us from revolting against our government. Every few years you get this feedback. They get this this little treadmill you can get on, and you can feel a little bit better, and you win some, you lose some, and all that stuff. I just hate the whole process generally.
I treat it as a matter of self-defense.
I don't think it's wrong to do it.
I carry a gun when I go down dark alleys,
yep.
and I vote when I'm faced with obviously criminal politicians.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't have any problem with that analogy. I just think that largely, I would imagine you would agree with this, Mike, that largely your vote has not mattered.
Right.
It's not made a difference.
Very rarely has.
Very
rarely.
And usually on a local level, not on a national
absolutely.
level. Or it should be a state level. There's no such thing as a national election.
New Hampshire is kind of odd in that there are some elections that win by 2 or 3 votes. There was one election where the guy won by 1 vote.
Yeah.
But it's just the worst possible system that you could. I could not come up with a possible system if you wanted me to.
Yeah, the first past the post system of voting is the worst of them. Even the ranked voting and all this other stuff would probably get a better feel for what the public wants, but I don't really want the public's opinion. Pardon me while I wax cynical here, but you want a bunch of ignoramuses' opinion on a particular topic? These people don't know anything about policy.
I actually think that you couldn't do any worse than just by picking random people out of the phone book to hold office.
Agreed.
That would be preferable to democracy or variations on democracy.
The biggest complaints against monarchy tend to be things like King Henry VIII and 15th century medicine where he was treated with mercury. We probably could put a monarch in place and they would be better than this bouncing back and forth crap.
Have it to be a monarch. You have a contest like Survivor, okay, where you have all these different actual tests to go through, and whoever makes it through, they become the king for however long.
Okay.
Well, no, because that just brings back most of the same problems. So one of the problems with democracy and variations on democracy is that you have people with perverse incentives. If an office term is 2 to 8 years, your incentive is to go in, milk it for all it's worth, and not care what happens when you leave.
To look great for 2 to 8 years.
Right.
And
if you have it for the rest of your life and can pass it on, maybe, then your incentive is to preserve the capital value of the area. So, yeah, you're still a state agent and you're still a thief and you're still all these things, but you're running it much better from the perspective of the land and the people on it than somebody who's just like, well, I'm going to be here for 8 years.
I tend to, I have a lot of sympathy for these particular positions. I'm not advocating monarchy as a solution. I'm only pointing out that the one innovation that we've had in governance in the last half millennia, which is democracy, is probably not an innovation at all. And that this organizational model known as the state is highly rigid and not suited to the modern society. Modern society is better suited to an organizational model like the internet, where people have a great deal of freedom.
And where you have organizations that form on an ad hoc basis to create standards and rules that people adopt voluntarily.
And best I can tell, this is the best problem solving. I'm not saying freedom isn't scary, and I'm not saying that it doesn't have its problems. It's got its problems. But you have to compare it to what you've got, or to what's possible, or propose something better. At least the socialists are proposing something new out there, semi-new.
Not really new.
Something different.
No.
If we just gave all the power to the people I like, then things would go better. I mean, that's sort of a wishy...
Same old mass murder wrapped in a nice, fuzzy, ecological
The
wrapping.
people I like wouldn't do the mass murder, Mike. It's those people over there that got the power. Those are the mass murderers.
My friends aren't a problem. It's your friends that are the problem.
That's the problem. That's it every time. When I finally, my organizational model with all the power coalesced into one area finally takes root, this time the rich, powerful, intelligent, conniving thieves that have always gotten in power throughout millennia, when power has been centralized, they won't get in power. Not this time.
Really, I'm only one more execution away from utopia.
That's right. What's
It's a lot more than that.
To the gulag with them. Thanks for joining us here on Free Talk Live. You can check us out at freetalklive.com and our Twitch channel. See us at twitch.freetalklive.com. All those options are available to you. Thanks for listening.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Monday, March 4th, 2019. Gold opened the day at $1,288. Silver opened at $15.13. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,703. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, a firestorm over comments critical of Israel by Representative Ilhan Omar continued to engulf the Democratic Party and American politics over the weekend. The anti-media reports that Omar, a Democrat from Minnesota, continues to stand firm in her assertion that criticism of the Israeli occupation does not constitute anti-Semitism. And the blowback she's received from Republicans and Democrats alike sheds light on the absence of questioning over Israel's special treatment in U.S. foreign policy. The controversy over Omar's criticism of Israel's influence on American politics began February 11th and has not yet let up. Omar endured renewed accusations of anti-Semitism on Friday for remarks made last Wednesday at a Washington bookstore. In an opinion piece for The Guardian in February, president of the National